So I went in the Army in 1988. I was a combat engineer and wound up getting stationed in Germany for 3 years. And during that 3 year stint, Desert Storm happened, so we went from Germany to Desert Storm, and got over Desert Storm in December of '90. And I was with Third Armored Division, and so we had a big build up. We did the left hook thing going around the end and stuff, and I was attached to we were attached to a tank company, and so we were a lead element with them and stuff. And I had what's called an AVLM, armored vehicle launched MICLIC, which is 3,500 pounds of C4 on the back of my tank with 2 rockets. And so our job was to, when we came up to a minefield, we'd have to go up, clear the minefield, do all that. So um, luckily, I didn't have to do that part of it. But 3 days in, after about 2.5 days of traveling in our tanks, after we crossed the border, that's when we made contact with the Republican Guard. We fought a battle all night with them. We were about 100 meters behind the lead elements of tanks that were doing most of the fighting. We had Bradleys on both sides of us. Um, and so, yeah, we weren't supposed to be that close, but we were. I came back, we got back in June, so we spent 6 months over there. I really didn't notice a whole lot that was going on. I knew that I had a lot of anger issues, um, things that you don't want to admit. I knew I had a lot of anxiety and stuff like that. Um, so I wound up going to Fort Benning, stationed there, and then I went to Korea for a year, and then I came back to Fort Riley, Kansas, for to where I got out in '95. Got married in '92, so I'd only seen my wife about 6 months out of that 3 years, and we we moved around a lot. So that was part of the PTSD, is moving around and not being able to stay in one job for very long and stuff like that. And so finally came to a head in 2006. We moved to Tucson, and during that transition period, I wound up really struggling with my PTSD. I went into about a year long of depression. I didn't work, didn't do anything. I was aircraft mechanic. I had went to school for that, and I was working at Bombardier, and my wife had to go pick up my toolbox because I couldn't do it with my anxiety and my depression and everything. She said she walked, when she did it, she goes, "Don't ever make me do that again," because I felt like you had died. And so after that, she made me go to the VA. so so I actually had been going to the VA before that, when I was in California, but I never really discussed any of that stuff. Um, when I finally went to the VA, we sat down with the social worker. I cried the whole time, and Tracy, my wife, she told them about everything that was going on. So that kind of started the journey with the VA, and been going pretty much ever since. Got I've uh, diagnosed with PTSD. I get my VA benefits from them. I'm 100% disabled because I have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia from being in Desert Storm. Really, I reached out to them. Um, I'd been, I was working at the VA at the time, and I was really struggling. I was struggling with anxiety. I was struggling with depression. I was struggling with chronic fatigue, fibro. I couldn't. It was getting harder and harder to go to work and do all that. And I'd always thought about, well, maybe a PTSD service dog would be beneficial. And so I started doing research on the internet and trying to find find some place that here in Arizona. And so that's when I finally found Soldier's Best Friend and filled out the application and stuff, and got accepted and everything. And at the time they weren't really doing a whole lot down here in southern Arizona, and so I was probably one of the not I was probably one of the first that was down here, and we started training and doing all that. And now with that I'm able to go out and do different things. Going into like crowded places and things of that nature. For instance, my wife, she just graduated from the Tucson Police Department investigator program, and they had their graduation yesterday at the Fox Theater. And there's a whole bunch of people there. I had Gus with me, um, and we went in, we sat down, he laid down next to me, and um, then when we got done, we went out in the lobby, and um, there was all kinds of people everywhere. My son-in-law has PTSD, and so he couldn't stay in there, so he had to leave. And so I just had Gus just lay down in front of me, and we stood against the wall, and everybody did their thing. We talked to people and stuff like that. So yeah, just having him there, he gets me out and about. If I'm at home just laying around or whatever, he'll come and nose my hand or nose my arm, and we have to go outside and check stuff out, see if there's any rabbits around and stuff, or whatever. He loves riding in the car. He doesn't like getting left anywhere. So as soon as the door opens, he's on his way out the door and ready to jump in the back of the truck and in the back seat and ready to go. And I'm a lot more comfortable going out in different situations. I'm not to say that, when Gus starts to feel that I'm getting anxious and stuff, he starts walking a little faster, trying to find an exit sometimes, because he can sense that that's going on or whatever. But we'll stop, and I'll tell him front, and I'll start petting him and scratching him and stuff, and he'll lean up against my legs, and we'll calm down a little bit and do that. He'll watch my back if I'm looking at something in a grocery store or in a store, um, or if I'm in a checkout uh, place or checking out and stuff, and he'll stand behind me and he'll watch and he'll look back. He'll pretty much do his guard dog thing and check everything out and do that kind of stuff. Um, I would tell him about Soldier's Best Friend, that it really helps. Um, it helps you get out and get about. I had one instance where I was actually at Sam's Club, where I didn't know this at the time, but there was another veteran and his wife were there, and me and Gus were there training or doing our regular shopping or whatever. But he was really impressed with what he saw, and I don't know if I talked to him or not, but he found out that I was with Soldier's Best Friend, and so I was able, just us being out and about and somebody else seeing us. Now they're in training now with their dog, and so it was kind of cool going into a group training one night and somebody saying, "Hey, yeah, you're the reason I'm here because I saw you out and about with your dog." And so that was pretty cool.